What if the very light inside you is the reason people turn against you? What if rejection, envy, and hostility aren't about you, but the shadows others refuse to face? In a world where masks dominate and admiration can morph into resentment, living authentically becomes a silent rebellion. You will discover why being yourself can be dangerous, why boundaries unsettle, and how every reaction from others is a reflection of hidden fears. Step into a journey where the light you carry awakens truths no one else dares to see, and what that means for your freedom. There's a strange pain that comes from being rejected without reason. When someone pulls away, criticizes, or grows cold, and you can't quite understand why. It's tempting to think it's about something you did, something you said, or the way you simply exist. But often, it's not about you at all. It's about what you awaken in others. The human psyche is a mirror maze, full of hidden fears and denied desires. And sometimes, without realizing it, you become the mirror that reflects what people spend their lives avoiding. They look at you, but what they actually see is a silent film of their own insecurities. Maybe your calm reminds them of their own chaos. Maybe your confidence whispers about everything they never dared to become. The unconscious doesn't need logic to react. It only needs a trigger. And when your light hits the dust of someone else's unresolved wounds, it blinds them. They can't name it, so they turn away, attack, or diminish what they can't face within themselves. Think about how a clear lake reflects not only beauty, but also the debris beneath. That's what you do to certain people. You reveal what lies under the surface. And while you may try to soften your presence, speak gently, or make yourself smaller, the truth is, your essence alone is enough to stir the hidden tides in others. It's like walking through a crowd holding a lantern. Not everyone wants illumination. Some prefer the comfort of their shadows. This is the silent paradox of being deeply seen. The same qualities that draw people in are often the ones that make them retreat. But there's a deeper layer still, one that goes beyond reflection. Because when your light grows stronger, it doesn't just mirror others. It challenges the very structure of the masks they wear. And that's where resistance truly begins. Authenticity sounds beautiful in theory, but in practice, it's often a storm. The moment someone stops pretending, the world around them starts to tremble. Because authenticity doesn't just reveal you, it exposes the fragile structures that others build their lives upon. When you live in truth, you become unpredictable. You no longer play the social game of polite lies, of nodding when you disagree, of dimming your voice so others can feel safe. And for many, that kind of freedom feels like an earthquake shaking their carefully built identities. Imagine a person who spent their whole life performing a role. The obedient one, the agreeable one, the savior. Suddenly, someone walks in and refuses to play along. That quiet rebellion, that refusal to wear the same mask, is felt as a threat. Your honesty feels like confrontation. Your peace feels like distance. Your presence forces others to ask uncomfortable questions. Who am I when I'm not pretending? Few are ready to face that reflection, so instead of evolving, they resist you. Sometimes that resistance comes disguised as subtle criticism, backhanded compliments, or emotional withdrawal. You'll hear phrases like, "You've changed," when in truth, you've simply stopped hiding. They'll say you're difficult or distant, not because you've become cold, but because they can no longer control how you show up. And that scares them. Not your authenticity itself, but what it reveals about their own lack of it. It's like holding up a mirror in a room where everyone was pretending to sleep. But authenticity isn't rebellion for the sake of chaos. It's alignment. A quiet return to who you were before the world told you who to be. And yet, every return to self demands a price. Because when you stop playing the game, you challenge everyone still clinging to the illusion. That's when the masks begin to crack and we enter the next layer of the human drama, where masks and mirrors define not only how we relate to others, but how we survive among them. Every person wears a mask. It's not hypocrisy, it's survival. From childhood, We learn which expressions win approval and which truths earn silence. Over time, that becomes our persona, the social costume that lets us function in the world. We smile when we're tired, agree when we disagree, pretend to be strong when we're breaking inside. The persona protects us, but it also imprisons us. Because if a mask is worn long enough, even the one behind it forgets what their real face looks like. Most relationships exist between masks, polite exchanges between the parts of us that seek validation. You laugh, they laugh, but underneath, both are performing. The problem begins when someone dares to take their mask off. Suddenly, the invisible contract of mutual pretending is broken. That person becomes unsettling, unpredictable, maybe even too much. And when authenticity walks into a room full of performances, it doesn't blend in. It exposes, not through confrontation, but through contrast. Imagine a dinner where everyone wears elegant disguises and one guest walks in barefaced. The others don't know whether to admire or despise them. That's how society reacts to those who reject the persona, with fascination mixed with fear. They remind others of a freedom they've long buried. And in that reminder lies the seed of conflict. Because if one person removes the mask, everyone else must confront why they still cling to theirs. Yet this tension, this quiet discomfort, isn't random. It's part of a deeper, invisible choreography, a dance of power, affection, and control that plays beneath every smile and silence. To understand why authenticity provokes such turbulence, we have to look beyond appearances, into the hidden currents of influence that flow through every human bond. Power rarely announces itself with trumpets. It whispers, lingers, and moves like a shadow in conversations, gestures, and favors. In every relationship, subtle currents of control are at play. Who speaks, who listens, who yields, who dominates. Sometimes it wears the soft disguise of care, a concern here, a suggestion there, and yet each word can tilt the balance. When someone begins to honor their own boundaries or flourish emotionally, it shifts this delicate equilibrium, often without anyone realizing it. Even small acts, saying no, taking time for oneself, or pursuing a passion, can send ripples through the hidden web of influence. People who thrived on your compliance or silence may react with tension, frustration, or even subtle sabotage. It's not always overt hostility. Often, it's a quiet recalibration, a way for others to reclaim a sense of control they feared losing. And you might notice it in micro-expressions, unexplained coldness, or oddly timed criticism. Consider a co-worker who offers advice disguised as friendship, yet resents any independent decision you make. Or a family member who praises your achievements publicly, but subtly undermines them in private. These are the hidden currents of the invisible dance, where affection and authority intermingle, and where establishing your presence shifts the rhythm of everyone else. It's a delicate ballet that few are trained to see, yet everyone participates in unconsciously. This silent interplay of influence is precisely why authenticity often meets resistance. The more you claim your space, voice your truth, or shine in ways that feel natural, the more the unspoken hierarchies are disrupted. And it's in this subtle upheaval that we begin to witness the reflections of the next deeper layer, the uncomfortable mirror that shows others what they cannot yet accept in themselves. There's a unique sting in being hated or dismissed, not for what you do, but for what you are. People rarely loathe what they fully understand. They despise what confronts their blind spots. Your confidence may mirror their self-doubt. Your kindness reflect their coldness. Your clarity illuminate their confusion. And because these traits are uncomfortable to face, they become projected onto you, triggering criticism, envy, or avoidance. The reflection is never gentle. It is raw, unavoidable, and profoundly revealing. Only when someone judges you harshly, it is often an admission in disguise. Beneath their sarcasm, distance, or disapproval lies a confession. I see in you what I refuse to see in myself. Consider the colleague who mocks your decisiveness, yet hesitates at every choice. or the friend who belittles your joy because it magnifies their own suppressed desires. The outer judgment is only the tip of the iceberg. The rest floats unseen beneath the surface, in the waters of the unconscious. This mirror effect is subtle, yet powerful. Even small actions can provoke deep reactions. Smiling confidently in a room of insecurity, speaking your truth in a circle of pretenses, or simply existing without apology, can awaken storms in those who cannot reconcile with their own shadows. The reactions are not random. They are a choreography of psyche, each response a dance with what has been repressed or denied. Understanding this dynamic offers a glimpse into human behavior's hidden mechanics. Your presence becomes a canvas where others' unintegrated traits are painted in sharp relief. And as these mirrors reflect, they set the stage for the next subtle, yet toxic, human response. One that often hides in silence, yet poisons relationships quietly. The shadow of envy. Envy rarely announces itself with fury. It creeps in quietly, wearing masks of indifference, sarcasm, or subtle detachment. Those who envy rarely speak of it directly, yet their gaze lingers a little too long. Their compliments carry an edge, and their distance speaks volumes. Envy is not mere dislike. It is the silent ache of witnessing in another what you secretly long for, but have denied yourself. And it thrives in shadows, where acknowledgement might awaken discomfort, too intense to face. Think of the coworker who shrugs off your success with a half smile, or the friend who comments lightly on your achievements but never truly celebrates them. They aren't overtly hostile, they're quietly poisoned by the reflection of their own untapped potential. This silent resentment is a confession disguised as neutrality, a way for the psyche to cope without confronting its own unrealized dreams. It is subtle, but its impact is profound, shaping interactions and poisoning trust without dramatic displays. Envy's presence teaches us that the world often reacts not to our failures, but to the opportunities we embody for others. Your growth, joy, or self-possession acts as a mirror of what others cannot claim within themselves. And while this realization might sting, it also illuminates a path. The shadows cast by others are reflections of internal limitations, not indictments of your worth. Recognizing these hidden currents is the first step toward navigating relationships with awareness. Yet envy rarely exists alone. It often evolves from admiration unclaimed, from longing that can't be expressed, or from desire turned into subtle antagonism. And when admiration mutates into resentment, it sets the stage for a transformation that reveals the fine line between love and hostility. A line we will explore as we move deeper into how the most profound connections can shift into unexpected conflicts. Admiration is a delicate thing. It begins with fascination, a quiet reverence for someone's presence, their talents, or their light. Yet admiration carries a paradox. The closer it brushes against desire or possessiveness, the more volatile it becomes. When someone realizes they cannot possess or control the very qualities they admire, that reverence can shift into subtle hostility, passive aggression, or overt conflict. The deeper the admiration, the sharper the potential sting. Consider the friend who once idolized your clarity and calm, but now grows tense when you assert your boundaries. Or the partner who praised your independence, only to resent the very same autonomy that once drew them in. Admiration, when unbalanced by acceptance, transforms. It becomes a shadowed battlefield where the object of affection is judged, scrutinized, and sometimes even subtly attacked. Not for what they have done, but for what they are. This transformation is rooted in the unconscious, in desires that have been denied or repressed. The psyche, faced with an impossible longing, reacts defensively. It may mimic anger or disdain as a way to reclaim perceived control. And what is most intriguing is that this conflict rarely begins with malice. It begins with awe. The very qualities that inspire reverence in others can, without warning, trigger the opposite reaction. Recognizing this dynamic allows one to see relationships in their truest form, not as static bonds, but as living exchanges of energy, projections, and internal struggles. When admiration mutates into resentment, it is a mirror reflecting both the admirer's shadow and your own evolving presence. And it is precisely within this tension that the next step emerges, cultivating the inner freedom to exist authentically, even amidst hostility. True freedom begins when you realize that the world's reactions are not yours to fix. Living authentically carries a price. Criticism, envy, and resistance are inevitable companions. Yet, these reactions do not define your worth, nor do they diminish your light. Observing them without personal attachment transforms every challenge into insight. It is not about controlling others, but about mastering your response, holding your truth without apology, and cultivating presence that cannot be shaken by external judgments. Boundaries become your compass. Saying no when needed, protecting your time, and nurturing your emotional well-being are acts of self-respect, not defiance. When you honor yourself, others' shadows are more clearly revealed, not as threats, but as invitations to deepen understanding. This requires patience, introspection, and courage, as the path of authenticity is often solitary and quietly disruptive. Each encounter becomes a lesson in discernment, teaching when to engage, when to step back, and when to simply witness. Imagine walking through a crowded room, fully visible, carrying your own light without dimming it for comfort. Some will smile, others will squint, and a few will attempt to shadow your glow. Yet none of their reactions can diminish what is anchored within you. The paradox of inner freedom is that it grows precisely in the face of resistance, and it is through these tensions that the soul expands, learning to navigate the interplay between self-expression and social turbulence with grace. Living authentically amidst hostility is not passive. It is a conscious, ongoing practice, observing without judgment, responding without fear, and nurturing a presence that is both resilient and compassionate. And as you embrace this freedom, you begin to see that the world is not a battlefield to be conquered, but a mirror in which you can recognize, integrate, and transcend the shadows projected upon you. Now that you've seen the hidden dynamics of rejection, envy, and resistance, the question becomes, how will you respond? Will you shrink to fit others' shadows, or will you stand fully in your light, even when it makes some uncomfortable? Ask yourself, which masks am I still wearing, and which parts of my truth have I hidden to gain approval? Reflection is only the first step. Action is what transforms insight into real freedom. Begin by observing reactions without judgment, by setting boundaries, and by nurturing the parts of yourself you've long neglected. Every interaction is an opportunity to grow. When someone resists your authenticity, ask yourself what it mirrors back about them and how it challenges you to remain grounded. When admiration turns into subtle hostility, see it as a lesson in detachment and self-respect. And when envy or control surfaces, remember, these shadows exist in others, not in your worth. Your journey is to cultivate inner resilience while walking through a world that may not always understand you. This is also an invitation. Reflect on one relationship or situation where your authenticity was challenged. What did it reveal about the other person and about yourself? How can you honor your truth while navigating these currents? Think, journal, or meditate on these questions. The answers are often the bridge to a life lived fully, without apology, and with profound presence. If this resonates, commit to the practice of authenticity daily. Observe, reflect, and act with intention. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to continue exploring the shadows and lights of human nature. And while the screen shows another video waiting, consider diving into it. Each lesson is a step closer to mastering your inner world and walking freely through the reflections of others.